All right, so welcome. We are going through our training. I'm going to screen share so you can see our topic for today. We are on week 6, contract to close part 2. So we are talking about what happens after your offer gets accepted. We're going to go through the timelines and checklists. We're going to talk about deposits and home inspections, as well as some of our partners in a transaction, such as Take Me to Closing, your mortgage lenders, title partners, and homeowners insurance. These are people that if you don't have contacts in your database, that's a great way to start. So you should definitely get to know Take Me to Closing, which is Lauren and Joelle. They're our in-house transaction management coordinators. They're fantastic. They would love to meet all of you. Lenders, so in-house we have Alyssa with Finance of America and Jim Goldstein. They're wonderful, tons of years of experience. You can also feel free to network with other mortgage lenders as well. Your clients may have their own lenders that they have worked with in the past or they really enjoy working with. It's always great to meet new lenders because different banks offer different programs. So whether your client is an FHA, a conventional, a VA, USDA, these are all different types of loans, and all different banks offer different products. There's also commercial lending if people have an LLC. So it's really good that we expand our network, get to know other people and what their products are, so that way we can be the best realtors possible for our clients. Title. So our in-house title company is Go Abstract. They're wonderful. They make our life super easy because they know all the ins and outs of our Keller Williams systems, and they help you get paid really fast and do a really great job for our clients. And then homeowners insurance. So most of you, if you've ever had renter's insurance, or if you have a car and you have car insurance, most providers also offer homeowners insurance. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's insurance to protect your asset, your home that you buy, if there is an accident or something happens. So we do have an in-house home insurance company, Customer First. So we'll also, I can make introductions to Sean, and he would be happy to give you or your clients any insight about homeowners insurance. If your client gets a mortgage, the mortgage company is going to require that they get homeowners insurance. Now, if you have an investor or maybe somebody that's well off and is paying cash, they should still also get homeowners insurance, but it's not necessarily a requirement because of, a bank lending you money requires the house to be insured. So that was just a brief overview. We're going to dive into what happens after our offer gets accepted. And I have this fun little sheet here by my partner, Jason Fallon, who is with Loan Depot. And I can share this with you guys too. It's a little overwhelming, but it's essentially a flow chart. Starts up here and goes across and then down and over, just to kind of give you guys an idea. So the things in green are specifically for us as realtors. The things in purple are specifically for a mortgage company. So that kind of helps a little bit. So, in the beginning, last week, we talked about, preparing for a showing, preparing, to know the comps when we're doing our showings. So if our client likes the house and wants to make an offer, we can provide them with some really great insight. We're at the point now where we've picked a house, they found the house, we prepared an offer, and now we're here. So once they go under contract, guys, it's going to now be important that we are very aware of deadlines. So in our contract, there are a lot of different things that we put in, right? Like 10 days for the home inspection contingency, 5 days for the first deposit, a mortgage commitment date, a settlement date, and it can be a whole lot of jumble. So it's really important that you read your contract You understand all these timelines and dates. What's really nice is if you do decide to utilize Take Me to Closing and work with Lauren and Joelle, they will support you in transaction management and help you with a really clear outline of your timeline. And I actually have an example of an email they did for me and one of my past clients here. See if I can make this a little bigger for you guys. Alrighty. So this is essentially what it's going to look like, the roadmap to settlement. And what we're most important about here are these timelines. So you guys should feel really confident when you're writing your agreement of sale. I highly recommend that you do this, that you write down this deadline checklist so that way you can be sure that you are hitting all of these dates and deadlines. The nice thing is then if you decide to use Lauren and Joelle, you can double check and be like, yep, I got all these right. Or if there's some confusion, like I thought it was 12 days, is my date wrong? Because every contract, depending on how it's written, we have to make sure that we know the specifics. If it says it excludes holidays or we're only counting business days versus regular days, that can make a huge impact in what date that falls on. So the most important is your execution date. This is going to be found on the very last page of your agreement of sale. It's typically when the seller signs, because we know when we submit an offer, it already has our buyer's signature. And if the seller agrees, then the seller signs. So the seller is the second person to sign. It could be the same day, it could be the following day. But whatever is, the last person that signs, which is typically the seller, that date is called the execution date. The date that the contract is fully executed and is now a binding legal document, and it is a contract between the buyer and the seller. Really important, we know the execution date. Then typically we have a first deposit. So in this case, it was 5 days from execution. And I know that because if I go from August 3rd to August 8th, it's 5 days. So the first deposit check was due to the listing agent's office by August 8th. Next is a title insurance deadline. Remember we mentioned having a partner in title, because what we need to do is once we go under contract, we need to order what's called title insurance for our buyer. The buyer is the one who gets to choose which title company they want to utilize for their purchase. So it's a very simple process to order title. We reach out to, say, Go Abstract, our in-house partner. We're going to let them know that we have a client under contract and we would like to move forward with ordering title insurance. We provide them with a copy of the fully executed agreement of sale, and then they are able to order title. What they first do is they do what's called a title search, meaning that they look at the history of the home. Has anybody ever bought a car and did something called a Carfax to learn like the history of your car? Similar, but in regards to home ownership. So looking at the past owners of the house and to make sure that there's no violations or any issues that will be transferred to the new buyers. We want to make sure that they own this house free and clear of violations. You'll also see another date that we have on here is the mortgage application due date. So if your client is getting a mortgage, this is when they have to make sure that they have a full application to their mortgage lender. A lot of our clients will go through a pre-qualification, meaning they've had a conversation with a lender, or even better, hopefully a pre-approval process where they've already pulled their credit, they've provided them with some tax documents. So a full application, they will completely fill out the application with the mortgage lender and provide them all the necessary required documents. That has a due date, and that is in our agreement of sale. And if for any reason our client doesn't do all of this by this due date, they could then be in violation of their contract. They could lose their house. We don't want that. So really important that we're checking in with our clients and making sure that they are submitting everything necessary by this due date. Next, you'll see is the buyer's reply to inspections. So once our clients go under contract, there are two things that we need to jump right on. One is going to be our deposit. We want to make sure we get that deposit from our clients over to the listing agent. This is typically a certified check, not a personal check. I say this because when it's a certified check, the funds are immediately taken out of your client's bank deposit. We can show that to the lender, and that check is like cash. So it is immediately able to be deposited into the escrow account. This is really important, especially if you have a closing in a very short time period, like 30 days, right? Because it's a competitive market. We want to make sure that we have that check and those funds immediately available. Some of these larger checks sometimes can take 2 weeks or 30 days to clear. We don't want to have any issues with settlement. So we highly recommend a certified bank check or a money order, something that is similar to cash that we're going to give to the escrow account. The listing agent, remember, holds the money unless it is otherwise stated in the MLS and written in your contract. Some of the listing agents, like you might see with Redfin or Hauser, they will say, that they don't hold escrow money. So the title company could hold escrow, or Keller Williams Philadelphia could hold the escrow. Somebody needs to hold that money. We need to make sure we get a copy of that check. I always recommend taking a photo of the check so that way you have proof. The other option is they can wire the funds. If that case, then we'll want to get a confirmation letter. Usually if they send it from their bank to be wired, they'll get a confirmation letter from the bank that says, $10,000 has been wired. You'll want to have a copy of that. Anytime, any type of money, we want to have copies of it. So we said, number one, we go under contract, we need to get the funds for your first deposit. And the second thing is we want to set up our home inspection because we have a due date. If you see here, the buyer's reply to inspection is August 15th. So what that means is that by August 15th, we have to have the home inspection, review the inspection report, and come up with a reply, including if there are any necessary repairs, any contractor estimates. So that's a lot of stuff to fit in. So we want to jump right on that and try and get our home inspection done as soon as possible. So one thing I always try and prepare my buyers, if they are going to be writing an offer and on a house, I ask them, do you have a home inspector that you like or you want to use? If they don't know of anyone and we need a referral, well, we know we have Dave from AmeriSpec, who works really closely with us at our office, as well as some other home inspectors. You'll want to start reaching out to them and find out their availability. Because if you have only a short time period, we want to try and see what inspectors are available so that we can get them booked as soon as possible for our client. Because we want to make sure that we are not crunched to get that home inspection done and to rush through reading that report and estimates. Does that make sense, guys? Any questions so far?
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
My main question is, do we have a list of names for all these vendors in one place? Like, I know they would be on the thing, but people to contact immediately or anything like that. And the amount that you talked about, the deposit that we need to make by, I think by 5th, but don't you give them a deposit when you're sending them an offer? Is that the money you're talking, or an additional payment?
So first question about vendors. So you should create your own vendor list based on who you like. We do have on the dashboard everybody's contact info. Okay. But this is your business, so you should create your own vendor list, and it shouldn't necessarily just be exclusive to the handful that we have available on the dashboard and in-house. It's an opportunity for you to connect with other professionals. So other mortgage people, other title people, other home inspectors. So you should create your own vendor list.
Okay.
And then for the deposit, typically when you write an offer, we typically provide the deposits once we have a fully executed contract. Because if a multiple bid situation, right, and we lose that offer, now we have a check, a certified check that we're not going to be turning in because we didn't win the bid. So we always wait till we have a fully executed contract. Once we are fully executed, then we provide the funds.
Okay.
Great questions. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Of course. All right, continuing on. So you'll see after the buyers reply, then the sellers have a chance to reply back to our inspections. And there's a due date for that. Sometimes there will be a second deposit, not always. It depends on what we have outlined on our agreement of sale. And then you'll see there is an end date of the inspection negotiations. If for some reason we do not agree on terms, then the choice is we can terminate the deal or we can extend that inspection negotiation period. The next you'll see is the mortgage commitment deadline. This is a letter provided by the lender saying that they agree to fund the loan for the mortgage for our buyer to buy the house. Ideally, we want to have our mortgage commitment sooner rather than later. I always like to see the mortgage commitment deadline at least 2 weeks before settlement. That way I just have a little bit of a buffer. I do recommend you have a conversation with the lender anytime you write an offer to make sure that they can meet that deadline, especially when we're talking about closing in like 30 days. That means that they would need to give us a mortgage commitment in 2 weeks. So really important that you have a conversation on the phone, not a text, not an email. I'm a big proponent of having, conversations with people on the phone just so everything is crystal clear, just to confirm that we're on the same page and it's a realistic deadline. Because remember, you are in a contract. So if your lender does not provide the mortgage commitment letter until August 27th, well, you're a day past your deadline. And legally, the seller could say, you missed your deadline, you're out of contract, we're terminating. And that's not something that we want to happen. Now, with any deadline, they can always be extended as long as it is agreed upon by the buyer and the seller, and we have it in writing. We do that through a change in terms addendum. So if something came up, the mortgage commitment is going to need an extra day, I would highly encourage you to write a change in terms addendum, extending the mortgage commitment 1 day, have the buyer and the seller sign it. That way you know that everything is good to go. You won't be out of contract. I always think in terms of if I went to court and I had to be in front of a judge, I would rather have proof and have things in writing than just being like, well, we said it was okay. And the judge goes, great, show me a text or an email or a change of terms addendum where everyone agreed to this. And you don't, chances are you're going to lose. And not only are you going to lose the deal, not only are you going to lose your client's escrow, you're going to lose your commission and even worse, your integrity. So do yourself a favor, get everything in writing. And then the last date we have is our settlement date. And again, things happen, things come up where sometimes settlement has to be pushed back. It's okay. We just have to make sure the buyer and seller agree to those terms and we have it in writing. Make sense? What questions do you guys have about deadlines related to your agreement of sale? We are good? All right. Moving along then, guys. So I'm going to bring this up again so we can look it over because we kind of went through it a little bit quickly. So we talked about, they find a home, we prepare an offer, we get the deposit. We're going to give that deposit escrow check to the listing agent unless it's otherwise stated that somebody else is holding the escrow, like the title company or if Keller Williams is holding it. And our client is going to begin the mortgage paperwork with their lender. We're also going to get started on our home inspection. Once we have our home inspection, you'll get a report. These reports can be very, very overwhelming. Typically, they're anywhere from, I've seen 25 pages, I've seen 50 pages, I've seen 75 pages. It all depends on the size of the house and how much they find. It's really important, guys, that you prepare your buyers. This is very much an emotional roller coaster. They get really, really excited. They found the house. We got it under contract. Now we're paying a home inspector to go into this home that they love, and they're so excited to tell them everything that's wrong with it. And then they go, oh my God, we just got this 50-page document and all this stuff is wrong with the house. And they become really sad, really overwhelmed, and they might not want the house anymore. But that is part of the process. We want to know exactly what we're getting into. And that's why the home inspection is so important. It is something that the buyer pays for out of pocket. They range, again, depending on the size of the house. Typically, a home inspection can be between $500 and $1,000. And then additional inspections are going to be add-ons. So if we want termite inspection, if we want radon inspection, if we need to test the water because maybe there's well water, or if there's a swimming pool, maybe, the inspection for the swimming pool, that's going to be all extra in addition to the home inspection base price. So double check with your home inspectors how much it's going to cost so that way your clients aren't shocked. It's also good to have this conversation so that way you can make sure your clients have the money to pay for a home inspection. How many of you have heard about, with multiple bids, people waiving the home inspection? You guys heard of that? It's scary. I never recommend it. I think about myself, or if I was representing my sister or my parents, and would I feel comfortable with them buying one of the largest assets? Most of these homes, $400,000, $500,000, $700,000. It's worth to spend the $1,000 to know what you're getting into, to make sure that the roof is good, the windows are good, your HVAC is good, your plumbing is good, your electric is good. And we as realtors, we're not qualified to give, professional recommendations. We're not climbing on roofs. We're not, certified to look at electric panels. That's why we get a home inspector in. Now, most home inspectors are not going to be able to give you price quotes. So if they see that there is something wrong with, say, the electric panel, they'll be able to let you know that there is an issue, but they are not necessarily the ones qualified to give you a price in order to fix it. That's why during our inspection contingency period, we have the opportunity where we could also bring in professionals like an electrician or a plumber or a roofer or an HVAC person, have them come in and give us an estimate what it would cost for them to fix this problem. That then goes to step number 13 here, where we're negotiating the inspection results. So if we find, let's say, an electric panel issue, and it's going to cost $1,000 to update the electric panel, that would be something where once we have the report, we're going to provide a copy of that report along with our buyer's reply to home inspection, outlining all the things that we would like fixed or that there's an issue with, and any invoices possibly that correlate with that. So we would have our home inspection report, our buyer's reply, and then also any invoices for pricing for those repairs. And then depending on the client, sometimes you ask for the seller to do the repairs before settlement, or sometimes you ask the seller to just offer you a credit. Then once settlement happens, then the buyer now can hire whoever they want and fix any of the repairs. So depending on the type of house and the situation, depends on whether you ask for a repair or a credit, or sometimes you do a combination. Any questions about that? All right. So if we have a second deposit, typically our second deposit is after we negotiate all of our home inspections. You'll also see that at this point, the lender is processing the loan and they're going to be ordering the appraisal. So the bank orders the appraisal. The buyer also pays for that appraisal out of pocket. And that then triggers for somebody to come out to the house to look at the comps in the neighborhood and provide an appraisal with a value of the home. And we know ideally we want that appraisal to be the value to match the purchase price, or it can be higher than the purchase price. That is all good. If the appraisal value becomes lower than the purchase price, then sometimes we have to go back and negotiate. So if our purchase price is $250,000 and our appraisal comes in at $260,000, is that a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Is that a good thing or a bad thing for our appraisals at $260,000? No, it's a good thing. So we want our appraisal high because that means that we have $10,000 of equity now. So if our purchase price is $250,000 and our appraisal is $260,000, we've just gained $10,000 of equity. If it's the opposite though, if our price is $250,000 and our appraisal is $240,000, that's bad. Now we have a $10,000 gap. So we need to go back and negotiate with the seller. Okay. We're also at this point going to be ordering title. So you can see this is green because this is something that as a realtor, we're going to do. Now, remember, we talked about there's a deadline as to when we have to order the title. So sometimes if our closing is really short, like 30-day settlements, we might be ordering title sooner. So really good to be mindful that deadline for title to make sure we do order that.
Hey.
Robin, did you have a question?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I should be on mute, but I do have a question.
Sure.
I mean, now, of course, the equity and the escalation of equity was moving pretty quickly because of the real estate climate. I do have a question now that it's slowed down as far as people whose appraisal may come in a little less than what the mortgage company is saying. If they want to make that up by putting more money down, is that an option still, or are mortgage companies being more strict on that?
So you're always going to want to double check with the lender. That's a great question. Typically, if you have an issue where there is, a gap, if you can't negotiate and the seller will not reduce the price, then yes, the buyer can bring additional funds to cover the difference.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Great question. All right. So once we have all of that title ordered, it's going to come in. The mortgage company is doing something called underwriting. So I like to call underwriting kind of the detective phase. It's where they're really scrutinizing all of the documents. So your tax records, your bank statements, really making sure that you qualify and can afford to buy this house. You'll see here, we may have a walkthrough with our client. So if there are repairs being done and we want to double check that those repairs have been completed, maybe the client wants to go back and measure a few things. It is normal that sometimes the client will do a walkthrough before settlement. We also see, especially with new construction, they may have a walkthrough as well. So once like drywall is done and kitchen cabinets are in, they may want to come through and do a walkthrough before the house is completely finished. Once our title has come in, then we're going to be scheduling our closing date. So on our contract, we have a settlement date. Sometimes we move it up, or sometimes we keep it the same, but we'll need to talk with our title company and schedule a time. So the sooner we can do this, the better. I always recommend for scheduling closings, not to have it be the first of the month, not to have your settlement date be the last day of the month. Ideally, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are really great days because Monday, we know everyone's just getting back to work. And by Friday, everyone is thinking about leaving early and starting the weekend. We also want to be really aware of any holidays because we know with banks are typically closed on holidays. So for example, Monday was Columbus Day. A lot of banks were closed. So there probably were no settlements that were happening on Monday due to a national holiday. So something to be aware of. I also recommend with scheduling your closing time, you'll want to check with the title company what time slots they have available. Typically, you want to tell your client if they have a mortgage and they're doing mortgage documents, about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, they should plan for settlement. If it's a cash deal, probably will be a lot shorter because there are no mortgage documents, probably about half hour to an hour. So just to keep that in mind. So if you're looking to schedule a settlement, say at 10 a.m., tell your clients they should be prepared to be there 10 to 12. Next thing you'll see is we will want to make sure that we let our buyers know that they need to secure their homeowner's insurance. Now, sometimes if they're a first-time home buyer or maybe they're new to Pennsylvania, they might not know who to go to. So again, really helpful for you guys to have people that you can recommend so that they can talk to people about homeowners insurance and that they can get, the best possible rate. It is going to impact their monthly mortgage payment. So if their homeowners insurance is $1,200 a year, it's $100 a month that's added on to essentially their mortgage payment. Versus if their homeowners insurance is $3,600 a year, now that's $300 a month. So we really want to make sure that our clients are aware of what, homeowners insurance is and that they're getting the best possible policy to protect them, to protect their house, but it also makes financial sense. Finally, the final documents will go to the underwriter. They'll double check that, they have the correct purchase price, everyone's name is spelled correctly. They will provide the commitment. This is the mortgage commitment letter. Remember, we have a date for that. The mortgage commitment date says that the lender will finance the loan, and that means that the loan has been approved, which is awesome. You may hear something called clear to close. That's another term we use, meaning that we're good to go for settlement. You'll see we're going to contact the buyer and let them know the final numbers for settlement. So they may have given some deposits. Now we have to let them know what finances, what money they need to bring, right, for their rest of their down payment, their closing costs. That is all considered their final check for settlement. It is typically payable to the title company. And we find out this amount on what's called the ALTA, A-L-T-A. If it's a cash purchase, it might be called the HUD, H-U-D. We'll have them bring, remember, an official check, a cashier's check, not a personal check, to settlement, as well as their IDs. So a passport, a driver's license, any type of government, ID is valid. They will sign their closing papers, and we'll also have to remind them to put utilities in their name, and they have now become homeowners. All right. So that was a quick little step-by-step guide. If any of you are interested, I would be happy to share this little diagram with you guys. Any questions?
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Any questions? We're all good? All right, so we went over the offers accepted. We went over the timelines and checklists. We talked about deposits and home inspections. So let's talk about Take Me to Closing. So if you guys don't know Lauren and Joelle, they are fantastic. I highly recommend them for transaction management. They essentially will assist you making sure that you are meeting all these deadlines. They will correspond with your clients. They'll check in with the lender. They'll check in with the title person. So highly recommend getting to know them. You can see on our dashboard, which is agentskwphiladelphia.com, all down here are our affiliated contacts. So Take Me to Closing is listed right here. We also have Customer First, which when we mentioned about homeowners insurance, they can help our clients with homeowners insurance, car insurance, renters insurance. We didn't talk too much about this, but we also have an in-house home warranty. So if that's something our clients are interested in, Colette does a great job and can explain more insight about what a home warranty is and what it covers. So her information is down here. Up here, we have Finance of America. So Alyssa and Jim are our in-house lenders, and then Go Abstract is our title company. So all of our contacts are listed here. I'm going to take you guys to Take Me to Closing. This is their website. And just some basic information about them. They have different forms, so to get to know you. So if you want to learn more, you can click out this form. It will allow them to then know to reach out to you, talk to you a little bit more about your business, what your needs are. If you have a client that has gone under contract and you want to utilize their services, you would send this form, letting them know you have an executed contract and you need support. They can also offer to help write offers and documents for you. I don't recommend that you do this your very first transaction. I really recommend that you guys write your own documents because it's important as realtors that you really understand the documents. As you start to get busier and working with multiple clients, then I would say utilizing them to support with writing your documents would be okay. But probably your first 3 transactions, you guys really need to get comfortable writing your own documents. But just know it's a service that they do provide, as well as if you have a listing, if you're working with a seller, they can also help you with getting your listing docs and drafting it in the MLS, Bright MLS. And if you have any specific questions, you can email them at tc@takemetoclosing.com. And there's a phone number here as well. If anyone wants a personal introduction to Lauren and Joelle, just shoot me an email and I'll be happy to make that intro for you guys. Next thing is Customers First. Again, you can fill out this information and Sean will then reach out to you. If you have a specific client that needs a quote, again, you can put their information in here. America's Preferred Home Warranty. So again, this is Colette. There's a website here so you guys can review some of it, check out some of the home warranties, what they cover. What's really nice about America's Preferred, which makes them a little bit different, is they allow you to hire your own plumbers, electricians, roofers. A lot of other home warranty companies, you have to use the people that they have. So that makes them a little bit different. And home warranties vary, depending on whether it's a 1-year term home warranty, 2 years, or if it's covering additional things like swimming pools, hot tubs, extra stuff. So you can check them all out there. Again, if you want an introduction to Colette, just send me an email. I'll be happy to make a personal introduction. What else? Finance of America. So I think this brings up Alyssa's contact info. So Alyssa Chapnick at financeofamerica.com. Again, if you want a personal intro, just let me know. Go Abstract. They are our in-house title company, and that's concierge at goabstractservices.com. So all of their info can be found here. Any questions about our affiliate partners? Everyone's a little sleepy and quiet today. All right, guys. Well, we went through everything pretty efficiently today. I want to leave the last 9 minutes of our time together to see what questions you guys have about contracts, about home inspections, about any of the stuff we went over today.
Yes, so I had a question. So I know that there is a portal on the God, I'm having a little trouble right now, but there's like a form, there's like a section that has like blank forms. Is that where we would find like just all the blank documents that we would need for all this stuff that we were just talking about?
Great question. So on the dashboard, there is a Google Drive that has PDFs. These I recommend that you have so that way you can review them, download them, write on them, practice. But actually, if you connect your DocuSign in Command, you will have also access to those that are editable. So you'll be able to edit them for your transactions. So I will screen share here real quick so you guys can see. So when you're on the dashboard again, you come down here to PA forms. It does have, like we had mentioned, like the change in terms addendum or your affiliate business disclosures, letting our clients know the different in-house partners we work with, consumer notices. All of these documents are available and in here. But if you're going to actually utilize them for a transaction, you're going to want to do it through Command. Just pull this up here. Go into my other ones so you guys can see. Oh, so slow today, internet. So slow. Let's try this again. There we go. And guys, when you're doing any transactions, again, definitely utilize Command. It's going to be super, super helpful for you guys. I'm going to take you into one of my opportunities just so you guys can see. Take you into one of my buyers. So when I'm in my documents section, if you're also not sure what documents are needed, again, remember when you select your checklist, it'll tell you exactly. So during my consultation, I needed the consumer notice and the affiliated business disclosure. So I have those uploaded and signed. When I go to write a contract, everything's listed under contract. So here are all the documents. You can see I also add additional stuff, and I recommend you guys do this too. So I have a copy of the deposit. I have my cooperation agreement. So this is the agreement between myself and the listing agent agreeing for my commission. Addendum. So we did do an addendum to extend settlement a few days. So I have my addendum in there. I have a waiver because they decided not to do a home inspection because this is a condo and he's an electrician and super handy. So I had him sign a waiver that I advised him to get a home inspection and he chose not to, as well as my title commitment. So I want to quick show you this title commitment for those of you that maybe have never seen one before. This is what it looks like. You know, it'll have the company of the title company and their address, as well as your client's property address. This is really important. You make sure that everything is correct, that the address is correct. If there's a condo, like a specific unit, that the unit is correct and that the zip code is correct. You'll see it'll have your buyer's names and also the proposed policy amount. So this is the sale price. And then it'll go through, there's a lot of gibberish. The most important things, again, making sure that the address is correct on the title. And then we're going into, again, remember, this is telling us kind of like information about the clients and about the property. So it becomes really important here, like taxes. Are there any taxes or assessments? Here it says that it's been paid. There's no, overdue water bills. There's no mechanics or municipal liens. There's no mortgages on this property. There's no judgments on this property. There's no bankruptcy court open on this property. So this is what we like to call a clean title. There's no issues. And again, a lot of gibberish here. City of Philadelphia information. But this is what we like to call a clean title report. So no major issues came up that we have to worry about. So this is all good to go. But this is what a typical title report and title commitment look like.
Okay, cool.
And again, I highly recommend that you put those additional documents in your command just so you have a nice place to save it. You can see here, we did an addendum because we extended settlement from the 15th. Oh, sorry, this was the contingency. They had a contingency because they have to sell their property in order to buy the new property. So that is what that was. And then the waiver, because they decided that they didn't want to do a home inspection, that they were given, they chose, not to have one, and they signed it. That protects me as a realtor, so they can't ever come back and say, well, Dana told us we didn't need to get a home inspection. So, but I highly recommend you put those documents in here as well. I put the deposit, copy of the check, so that way people can't ever say we didn't give it. There's a copy of it. But just know, utilize your command for all of your documents. It will make your life so much easier. And if you need any of the documents when you go to start a transaction, they'll all be connected here with your DocuSign. If you don't have your DocuSign connected with command, you'll want to reach out to Scott Leroy. He can help you get that connected. If you don't have his contact info, please send me an email and I'll happily make that introduction.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, is that something that would have already been done when he set up the because I know that he set up my DocuSign stuff and the command. So would he automatically just link them?
It should be. What I recommend is, if you have time today, create like a dummy opportunity and just play around with it and make sure it is connected. So that way, when the time comes that you have to write an offer, because it's going to be like Friday at 8 p.m. and it's not going to work. So check it now during the day to make sure it is connected, play around with it, play with some of the documents, do a test agreement of sale, like just make one up and play with it. And so you feel comfortable with it, because probably when you write your first offer, it'll probably take you about an hour to like go through everything, fill everything out, make sure you feel comfortable. But no, I'm always here to support you guys. So if you ever want me to double check your paperwork, that's what I'm here for.
Perfect. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, I want to be respectful. There is Ignite available at 10 a.m. So for anyone that wants to hop on to Ignite, you don't know what Ignite is, I highly recommend you check it out. It has a lot of great information. It's a free course on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 to 12. So it will be in your email I sent you guys this morning with the links, how to register, and the Zoom link for today. That's all I got, unless you guys have any other specific questions.
I just have one quick question.
Sure.
The co-op agreement with the seller's agent when you are a buyer agent, I'm not sure when you do that at all.
I typically do it once I have a executed agreement of sale.
Okay. And you just take a form just directly and send it to the seller's agent?
Yep.
Okay.
So if on the MLS, it says you get paid 2.5% commission, I fill out the form, says 2.5% commission, and we both sign it.
Okay. And one more question I had is, all these copies of inspection and all that, do you get them because you're an agent, or do the clients get, I mean, how does that work? Like you request for inspection, they get a copy even also of the property, when they do the title search, do you automatically get those?
So typically with the home inspection, they send it to the buyer. If you have a good working relationship with the home inspector and your clients authorize it, they will also send you, the agent, a copy. So like when I work with Dave from Amerispec, he always sends me a copy as well.
Okay.
You definitely want to review that report with your clients. So that way
Yes,
you can
of
make
course.
sure that you are advising them, on any of the repairs or issues that you notice. In terms of the title, typically, yes, the title company will send your client and you a copy of the title commitment.
Okay.
And you'll want to review that and make sure that there's no issues. Now, if you're a new agent and you might not know what to look for, you can always share that report with me and I can review it with you, as well as you can always ask the title company, hey, did you notice anything come up on the title report that we need to be aware of? And they will let you know too.
Great. Sorry, my camera is bugging out, so that's why I was on 2 devices. But thank you so much. Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because I didn't know how do you store that if you don't officially get those documents,
Yep, great questions.
Thank you.
All right, guys. I hope everyone has a wonderful